Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to teach you some rules for determining if a number is divisible by a certain number. So the first one is divisibility by 2, and it states that if the number ends in an even number, then it's divisible by 2. And I think you all knew that one already. So for example, 32 is divisible by 2 because it ends in an even number. So that one's fairly straightforward. Okay, what about divisibility by 3? So if the sum of digits is divisible by 3, then the number is also divisible by 3. For example, 1314. So the sum of the digits is 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 4, and that's 9. And because 9 is divisible by 3, that means that this number is also divisible by 3. And this actually works for 9 as well. So if the sum of the digits is divisible by 9, then the original number is also divisible by 9. So this number would be divisible by 9. Okay, what about divisibility by 4? So if the number formed by the last two digits is a multiple of 4, then the number is also divisible by 4. So this number wouldn't be divisible by 4 because 14 isn't divisible by 4. It's not a multiple of 4, in other words. On the other hand, 1312 would be divisible by 4 because 12 is a multiple of 4. Excuse me. And the rule for divisibility by 8 is quite similar actually, except that you look at the last three digits this time. So for example, let's check if this number is divisible by 8. So we look at this number and then we try to divide that by 8. So that would become 156 over 4. And that would be 78 over 2, and that would be 39. So 312 is divisible by 8, and that means that this number is also divisible by 8. Divisibility by 5 is quite simple, so if it ends in 0 or 5, then it would be divisible by 5. Divisibility by 6 is quite straightforward as well, so as long as a number is divisible by 2 and 3, then it would be divisible by 6. And you can check divisibility by 2 and 3 using the rules we've just mentioned for those numbers. So I'll just do an example for that one. So let's check if this number is divisible. Actually, let's check this number for divisibility by 6. So we first check if it's divisible by 2, so it clearly is because the last digit is even. And then we check if it's divisible by 3 as well. So it's also divisible by 3 because the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. So that means that this number is divisible by 6 because it's divisible by both 2 and 3. Now, divisibility by 7 is quite complicated, but there is a rule that you can use. So the rule states that if you take the units digit of the number and then you double that units digit, so let's try it for this number for example. So the units digit is 4, and then we simply double that number to get 8. And then you just subtract that from the remaining part of the number, which is 131. So that would give 123. And then you would simply check if this number is divisible by 7. So 123 isn't divisible by 7. And you can actually just use the same trick again to determine if this is divisible by 7. So 3 times 2 is 6, and then you just subtract that from 12. So 12 minus 6 is 6, and this obviously isn't divisible by 7, so that means that this isn't divisible by 7, and that means that this isn't divisible by 7. Let's try checking this number. So 1312. So we double the units digit, so that gives 4, and then we subtract that from this number, so that would give 127, and then we simply do the same thing for this number to check if it's divisible by 7. So 7 times 2 is 14, and then we simply subtract that from 12, and we can clearly see that this wouldn't be divisible by 7 because that gives minus 2, and that's not a multiple of 7. So that means that this number isn't divisible by 7. Okay, let's check if 63 is divisible by 7 using this rule. So 3 times 2 is 6, and then we subtract that from 6, so 6 minus 6 is 0, and 0 is divisible by 7, so that means that this number is also divisible by 7, which we knew already. That's a multiple of 7. Okay, so we've done 8, we've done 9, and then divisibility by 10, I think that's the easiest one out of all of them. So if a number ends in 0, then it would be divisible by 10. And there you have it. That's how you determine if a number is divisible by these numbers.